Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. And this morning, it's about 0 degrees here in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, and it's very cold outside, which means we need to fortify ourselves with a very good, warming breakfast. But it also means that we can have a nice, healthy, whole grain breakfast as well. So this morning I was inspired by two things, and I'm drinking a nice cup of black coffee, and I was inspired by two things. One is this recipe for pear and buckwheat pancakes from Good to the Grain by Kim Boyce. There you go. Good to the Grain. And I was inspired to use this recipe for two reasons. One, because I enjoy experimenting with different flours. And this one calls for the use of buckwheat flour, hence the name Buckwheat Pancakes. Also, I happen to have some pears that were getting spotted and overripe and really needed to be used. So this morning I'm making buckwheat pancakes with pears, and later this afternoon I'm going to make some muffins with pears. So it's a pear extravaganza today here at Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. But let me show you how to make this recipe, and I've adapted her recipe, which means that I'm just changing things a little bit to suit my own taste, which again, two more points that I always bring up. One, as you could probably see the little barcode there? This is one of several cookbooks that I have checked out from my local library, and I've mentioned this before. I love to check out lots and lots of cookbooks from our library, and on an area that I'm particularly interested in this case whole grains, and try them out. And then when I find a cookbook that's my favorite, I go ahead and buy the cookbook. So the author benefits from the royalties, and my library benefits because I'm using the library and supporting the local library. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, and also it's a win-win situation for me because I get to try out these wonderful cookbooks before buying them, because buying all the cookbooks I love to cook from would be just cost prohibitive. I wouldn't be able to afford so many cookbooks. So, but let's get going. Adapted is the other point that I was going to make, is that when I say that I'm adapting a recipe, it means that I'm following the idea behind their recipe, but I'm also adding in my own twist based on my own experience cooking and my own taste and what I've got in the kitchen, frankly, because we don't always have exactly every single ingredient. You know, for instance, with the pear muffins that I'm going to make later today, they call for hazelnuts. I don't have any hazelnuts in the house right now, but I do have pecans and I do have walnuts, so I'll probably use one of those. In today's recipe, let me show you what I'm doing to make it my own. So, first of all, I've cut the recipe in half, and that's because we have fewer pancakes to make. So in here I have, these are my dry ingredients. Let's see if you can see that. I have 1 cup of buckwheat flour and 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. So right away you know that these pancakes are going to have a wonderful whole grain, nutty, more substantial taste and texture than, you know, your regular old white flour, and they're going to be very good for you. I get these flours from my local natural grocers in the bulk food aisle, which again, I'm a huge fan of bulk food aisles because you can save so much money by shopping in that sort of generic no-name brand or the store's brand of food. a big bag of this buckwheat flour, I think, was $2.50, something like that. I mean, it's just crazy. The prices are very low. So 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour, which is a finer grind than a regular whole wheat flour, and 1 cup of buckwheat flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, a good hearty pinch of salt, and a tablespoon and 1/2 of sugar. Simple, right? Now, to add my own little twist to this, I'm going to get out, you got it, the nutmeg. Now, you could also add cinnamon, would be a perfectly natural thing to add to a breakfast dish like this. I just happen to not be that fond of cinnamon, quite honestly. But you know that I love nutmeg. So just get that a little scraping. We always use the whole nutmeg because it just tastes so much better. Let me grab a whisk. Whisk this into your, so all of your dry ingredients are whisked together and well distributed amongst each other. Now I have here my wet ingredients, and it's a tablespoon of melted butter, a cup of milk, and let's see, what else do I have in there? The pear. The pear that's been cut up into small pieces. And now what I'm going to add, again, to give this my own little twist, is just a splash, just a little splash of vanilla. Because, again, vanilla is one of those ingredients that I just love. So we've got the wet ingredients. Oh, and 1 egg. 1 egg. So butter, tablespoon of butter, 1 egg, 1 cup of milk, and my delightful pear. Now we're going to incorporate the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and give it a little stir. You don't want to stir too much because you don't want your batter to get tough. But you can see there, it looks like mud or mixing cement or putty, or I don't know why I think it looks like mixing cement, since I've never actually seen mixing cement. Now, here's another little thing that I'm going to do to make it special, is I have some little, see if you can see that, little bits of chocolate, and these were just chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, morsels that I was using for another recipe, and I had some left over. So they were in the refrigerator, and so I'm just going to mix those in here. And so that's going to give it a little sweetness. Now, you know what else would be really terrific with this, if you didn't feel like putting chocolate in? If you have some either aged Reggiano Parmigiano or an aged Gruyere or Emmentaler, so this really pungent, strong Swiss cheese, if you put just a few scrapings of that in there, that would be out of this world. That wonderful Swiss cheese with the pear taste, fantastic. That would be, if I hadn't added the cheese, if I hadn't added the chocolate, I would do that, because that's fantastic. Now, okay, here we go. I'm going to start making pancakes, but another little note. This wonderful heavy, not saucepan, it's a little frying pan, so perfect for crepes, or in this case, pancakes. But you see, it has this heavy metal handle. So I'm going to grab, because I've learned the hard way, and I've done this several times, I'm going to grab a dish towel to hold on to this, because once this pan gets hot, this handle gets hot. And also, another one of my familiar song and dance routines, I got this pan, actually my mother got this pan for me at our local thrift store, and it's a wonderful restaurant grade, restaurant quality pan. So don't be afraid to look for bargains, good quality bargains at your local thrift store. Try to buy the best quality kitchen appliances or kitchen utensils that you can afford. Now let me just grab a dish towel before I continue. And let's see here, which I'll get two just in case one doesn't work. Now, so we've melted some butter in the bottom of the pan, and now we're just going to take a little bit of this dough, and you can see it's quite thick, and just put that in here into our melted butter and give it a little smushing out just to spread it around a little bit. And I can tell already this is not going to be a perfectly round pancake, which, you know, it's okay. We don't expect perfection in Suzanne's kitchen. Maple syrup. Kim's recipe called for honey butter, which actually sounded very good. But I fried up some pork sausage to go with our pancakes. And to me, nothing goes better with pork sausage. There's me disappearing behind my microwave for a second. Nothing goes better with a pancake or with pork sausage than maple syrup. So I'm just going to throw that in the microwave for 15 seconds or 30 seconds to let it heat up. And that will go with our pancakes. So let's see how it's doing. Well, it's doing well. And you can, well, you can't see, but maybe you can hear this wonderful pancake is just bubbling away in the butter. And what you want to do, I'm going to grab a plate over your, I'm reaching over your shoulder. Okay, so, and I'm going to put my plate in the microwave to warm up because it's so darn cold. Everything in this kitchen is cold. Now, one of the hints when you put your pancake into fry, let's see, can you see this? Now you saw that I immediately grabbed the handle of this. Luckily the pan is not that hot, but you can feel the heat coming up there. Which is exactly why I have burned my hand on numerous occasions, because I'm just a little bit uncoordinated and forgetful. So we're going to flip this baby right over. Oh man, this looks fantastic. I'm very excited about this pancake. And it's fun. You saw how quickly it was mixed together, so it takes no time at all. And I can assure you, this whole grain pancake is going to taste 1,000% better than any box mix that you would make. I promise you. So it's well worth the investment. And as I said, it really, now I have something to grab the handle of with. And it's not more expensive than the box mix because you're buying that generic brand of flour from the bulk aisle. Okay? All right. So here's my pancake is done. And I want to show it to you. Look at that thing. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I'm going to turn this off and get this over to my mother, and I'm going to grab a couple sausages for her and just throw this maple syrup on here, and let me show you the finished. There you go. What could be better than Pear chocolate buckwheat pancakes with maple syrup and pork sausage? The perfect breakfast for a cold, cold Colorado morning. I hope you'll see me again on the next video from Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. I look forward to seeing you as well. Cheers!